Welcome back to Altitude and Attitude. To all our returning listeners, thank you for riding with us week after week. Tonight, we're switching things up a bit. No media spin, no political posturing, just real talk with another great friend. But before we begin all of that, let's check in with the crew. Stanford, Hog, how you doing this week, guys?
Whew, it's been hot. Very hot. That's all I got on my mind. What you
I'm
got, Stan?
good. I'm good.
Anything happening for you guys this week? Same old, same old?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got a mini fridge. That's awesome.
Uh-oh. Greta?
Oh,
Is
yeah, I was told.
Greta going to come running in a second?
Yeah, she wants one too, so she'll get over it.
I'm wishing I can get a $400 million freaking private jet and call it Air Force One.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. You know,
I also wish that. I would sell it though. I don't need a plane.
we all have this plane. We have this plane.
Yeah, I just have just one passenger. That'll work.
Well, I guess we should just jump right into this, huh?
Yeah, let's go ahead
Well,
and introduce him.
let's welcome to the show one of my best friends from our days at Scott Air Force Base, a brother in arms, a fellow veteran, and a man who's never been afraid to ask the weird questions. Jonathan Davis.
Not from corn.
Hello.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Pete. Good to see you. Good to see you all.
Hey, Hall. Great minds. Alike.
Oh my goodness.
Mine's more accurate.
There you go.
You did yours in a rush, Johnny.
So Johnny Davis, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see you all. I haven't seen any of you since I got out. What? It's been 20 years. 21
20?
years. 21 years here in July.
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Right.
Yeah, it has. It's been a long time. But
21. How long did you spend in the Air Force?
well, with my active duty was 8 and my reserve was 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
How many?
That's 11 for
Oh.
those in Mississippi.
I thought he said 30. You're not old enough, dude. We're
No,
already
you
starting
didn't.
out with these
Hog
tinfoil
just can't
hats
add.
working.
He didn't hear 30. He just can't add. I understand. It's further. He's down in the deep south.
You go any further south, you swimming.
So Johnny said, where did your career begin at, and when did it begin?
Well, I went in. I left for San Antonio boot camp course, basic training, Christmas Day, 1996, and so I guess December 26th was my first official day, and then arrived at Lackland, and then shortly after that went to Fort Leonard Wood for. I don't know, Pete. Did you go to Fort Leonard Wood, or was that before your time? Were you?
No, that was after me. So you talking about for tech school?
Yeah.
No, I was one of the first classes because before I joined, it was direct duty, and mine was in Lackland.
Oh, okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I wish mine was in Lackland, but anyway, I was in Fort Leonard Wood. I got to Fort Leonard Wood, and then they said, "Well, we're on a you gotta wait to go to class." So I was put on Army detail for 2 months, and I can't tell you how great that was.
It didn't change when you left. It didn't. It did not
It didn't. Yeah. Well, hey, when I was at one thing that happened at Fort Leonard Wood, which was Hale-Bopp Comet was out. We did stand in line at 5:30. Yeah, we'd stand in line at 5:30 in the morning for chow, and it was dark out. It was cold, but
I was up in Grand Forks when Hale-Bopp went through. We were all the way up north on the Canadian border, North Dakota and Canada, watching that thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then after that, of course, my first duty station was Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, and I did 15 months there, and I did enjoy island life over there.
I'll bet.
When I got there, everybody said, "Well, this place is your first duty station. It's going to ruin you," because we didn't even have to keep a mobility bag over there. It was,
They were right, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were right.
Yeah.
You know,
It was Guam.
well, I
That's
tell
why
you
you only
what
lasted
ruined
8 years.
Yeah, I tell you what ruined me
Screw
when I
this.
left. When I left that vacation in Guam and went to headquarters base at Scott next, and you know, oh my God. I
Now,
mean,
what year was
I tell
that
you
you got to Scott? I don't remember.
okay, so I was in Guam from '97, I think May of '97 till July of '98, and then I got to Scott in July. I might have took a couple weeks, maybe a month vacation before I got there, and then
Yeah, because you were in A1C when I first got there. You were there before me
Yeah.
because I got there in
Yeah.
January
Yeah.
of '99, like Christmas time
Yeah.
of '99.
I can't remember. I think Pete came after me.
No, I was there. I got there in 98 because I was in Korea, 97,
Right, but I
98.
thought, were you there before I got there?
I mean, it must have been right around the same time because I was there like maybe end of summer, 98.
Yeah,
Something
well, it
like
was
that.
all right there at the same time. And
Mhm.
coincidentally, that's when I started my car painting business with Pete. Was when I was living in the dorms over there. I forgot
I
about
ain't
that.
heard this one. I don't know if I've heard this one.
No, let's go ahead, Johnny.
Well, yeah. Well, we spray painted my car one night before I went out, and in the parking lot of the dorm, and Pete,
I
he
got
just he was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
this.
Right? But I tell you what, that car still ain't rusted out.
We had
But-
some fun in those dorms.
Yeah, and let's see. So when I was at Scott, though, I got to travel the world there.
Mhm.
You remember Walton?
Yeah, Scott.
Scott Walton? Walden.
Yeah.
Walden.
Is it Walden or Walden?
It's
Yeah.
Walden.
Walden.
Well, anyway, Westfall was
Address.
talking to me one day. Sergeant Westfall was talking to me one day in 2000, and he said that he said Walden's going to have a baby this summer, and he's going to be in Saudi Arabia. He's not going to get to see his baby born. And I said, "Oh yeah."
Mhm.
I said, "Well, I'd go in his place," and then so I volunteered, and so I
seem
did.
to
I went
remember
to Saudi
that. Yeah.
Arabia.
I
I went
Yeah.
to Saudi Arabia with Krajewski, Roberts, and Richardson.
Roberts, is he the one
Richardson.
that was out because of diabetes?
Yeah, well, he was over there and he got food poisoning in the chow hall, and then
Yeah.
he almost died. He looked terrible. He shaved his head because it was so hot, and then he got sick, and then he lost 30 or 40 pounds. He looked like he was straight out of a prison camp. I'm not kidding. But he was sent, and it kicked off his diabetes, almost killed him, and he got sent home early. Richardson got sent home early. But anyway,
Rest in peace, by the way. Rest in peace, Richardson.
What?
What happened?
Uh-oh. You
Sergeant
just spilled
Richardson
some beans.
passed- Oh, yeah, he's passed away. Oh, sorry.
Really?
What happened?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, what happened?
same thing that happens to 22 others every day.
Really?
But
Are you kidding?
I'll talk to y'all later. I thought you knew.
No.
My bad. Well, here's to Sergeant Richardson.
Yeah, well, that's terrible. I hate to hear that.
Jesus Christ.
But
we need a
well,
list.
He was a good guy.
yeah, and well, anyway, so
Yeah, it's
I
not
told
sweating yet.
Walden about that years later, and I said, I brought up that I went over to Saudi Arabia for him, and he didn't even know I did that. But I guess nobody ever told him that I volunteered to go for him, so he could stay home and see his kid being born. So, but I mentioned that to him. He didn't know nothing about it. So, I guess well, I'm glad he got to see his kid born. But Was any else? Were any of you in PSAB at any time?
Mm-mm,
Oh
not
yeah, I
me.
was in PSAB in we moved from the base in Dahran
SCOM?
down to
Oh, dog.
down to PSAB in '96, and then I was there again in '99.
Really? Was the Leaning Tower still there? Was it leaning yet?
Leaning?
The the air traffic control tower, the Leaning
I don't
Tower.
remember it. I don't remember it leaning.
Well, that tower is like Pisa. It's leaning.
Was it
And I don't
really?
know if it's well, it must have happened after you left. When I was there, they had vacated it and it was leaning like this. It might have fell over. I mean, hey, they spent a lot of money on this thing. The Saudis did, and then they never got to use it.
Damn it! I was just my head was sweating. God damn it!
Well, you remember who the construction company was for PSAB?
Yeah,
It was the
Osama
Bin Laden. It was the Bin Laden family. Yeah,
that's right. The name was all over everything.
Yeah, it was.
That's right. I forgot all about that, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When you were at Scott, you became the NCOIC of, was it equipment support or dispatch support?
Equipment.
Equipment. For a while, yeah. That's right.
We had offices across the hall from each other.
Oh yeah, I remember that. No AC up there. I remember that.
That was fun.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to bring up Richardson again. I really like Richardson. I hate to hear that.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. Sorry. I thought everybody knew. I'm sorry. I really am sorry.
Yeah. No, I didn't know.
Shitty now.
Yeah.
Can we let's find that out, and what Hoggy just told us, we just want to remind people to reach out to the VA for any mental health services and the suicide hotline if you ever, we need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely. So after Scott, what happened to you after Scott? Because I remember when you were separating, I think it was either right before I went to Iraq or when I came back. I can't remember which one it was.
It was probably right before.
Yeah.
I got out in 2004. I took terminal leave in July.
Yeah, it was after.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But, while I was at Scott, I also got to go to Sicily and Qatar. And when I was going to Sicily after 9/11 with Yee, De La Cruz, Hyrie.
This already sounds fun.
I mean, that is such a great little group of people. Who was in charge there?
Sergeant Dildo in a bag.
He got some chocolate Kodak eggs with toys in them to give to Good in Sicily if he was good on his way over there. If you know Good in his history with Hyrie, this is what makes this all even more fun. Because them two were like at each other, I mean, they didn't hate each other, but like Good was, man, he picked on him hard. He'd set his alarm at Alpena for 3 a.m. instead of 5 a.m. And then Hyrie would show up to work and then find out that Good set his alarm clock 2 hours slower. Right? But anyway, so we get to the Netherlands with these chocolate eggs with toys in them. And I've got this on video too. And then Hyrie was swarmed with Netherlands military, fully automatic weapons. I mean, we're sitting there filming this and kind of laughing. It was funny. And they're holding that egg up to Hyrie like he was smuggling because it was toys hidden in chocolate. And then they took out his darts, his throwing darts. They were metal tipped. And they were holding that up point. They all had automatic weapons. And Hyrie's sitting there sweating, boy. Right? No, my God. I didn't think we was ever going to get out of there. This is right after 9/11.
I'm never going hashing again.
We got into Rome, and it was the same story. The Romans surrounded him with the fully automatic weapons and eggs. And
poor Hyrie.
I threw them damn eggs away.
Poor Hyrie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fiery.
But, and then, hey, I got all kinds of stories, and we'll tell them some other time. But I don't know if we'll have time today. But and then I went to Qatar. I tell you what, one of the things I remember the most in my military career, other than my friends, was when I want to give everybody a tip. If you ever fly into Egypt, sit on the right side of the plane because they'll fly you right over the pyramids.
Yeah. Yes,
And
yes, they do.
everybody that was sitting on the left side of the plane or in the middle seats, because you're coming in for landing, you can't get up. Nobody got to see them except for the people on the right side of the plane. And I got to see the pyramids of Egypt, So that was really something right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty cool.
But I never got to leave the tarmac. That really sucked for me because I love.
Oh no! When we landed, we sat there for 3 hours, and the Egyptian military surrounded our airplane.
Yeah, that's what happened to us too, and it was hot as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it was, and I guess they were refueling, but we didn't even know we were going to Egypt, and we just landed. They don't tell you nothing.
Huh, same, but you couldn't have been there because you were already out when I was there. But it was the same situation. We were just refueling, and they made everybody get off. In the Jesus Christ,
and just stand right there.
Yeah, just stand on the asphalt, like everybody died. Freaking, my shoes were melting. Well, my shoes have been melting since I was about 14, but they were really melting.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff Martin wrote, "Wait, Jonathan Davis from Korn? Yes, that's me."
Jeff, if you would like his autograph, it's $50. So
yes,
just send that to me through Venmo, and we'll get you hooked up.
We could have got a whole bunch of like extra publicity if we'd have we wouldn't be lying. Jonathan Davis is going to be on with us tonight. Like just insinuate around and be like, that's the country is fucking Jonathan Davis.
You got a story. Hey, I got a story from Saudi Arabia. You want to hear it real quick? So they had birthday dinners with the generals where they'd serve steak and lobster over in Saudi Arabia. If your birthday landed in the month that you were over there, you got to go eat with them. Well, anyway, the general, he said, "Who's the oldest person in here?" And, and this guy was in his 60s. This was back in 90 or 2000. And so he was born in 1930. But he's like, "Who's your favorite artist?" And he's like, Glenn Miller, yeah. And, Glenn Miller, the Air Force band guy that died in World War II. But anyway, he's like, "Who's the youngest kid here?" And it was a 17-year-old kid. And he's like, "Who's your favorite band?" And he said, Bush. And then that general said, "Anybody out here like Bush?" And like everybody started standing on the chairs and the tables, like hooting and hollering. And that general thought he set him up, right? And he was going to go after him. And then the captain went over there and told the general, he's like, no, it's a popular band right now. He's like, yeah, because he asked the other people about Glenn Miller. Anybody like Glenn Miller? And a few people were like, yeah. But when he's like, "Anybody out there like Bush?" And then everybody got on the tables and the chairs. And you know how it is. You're a bunch of 20-year-olds out in the middle of the desert.
Bunch of kids,
Yeah, that was funny, though. Yeah.
That is.
But, and then
So what
I'll tell you, at Scott, my first airman was Stanford here.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he
you
was.
got a lot to answer for, Stanford.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was I?
Yeah.
You
remember the LORs?
He didn't
bad
have to be
EPRs.
I remember some LORs.
Well, I stayed out of Stanford's business. I just said, look, he didn't get in no trouble. He was a good guy. And so, he wasn't too crazy. Like he was no good. He was no good. And I ain't talking bad about Good, but Good had his
We're gonna talk to Molnar pretty soon.
One day we're gonna have
busy.
One day we're gonna have to we're gonna have to we'll have to have some of my supervisors on.
Oh, do we want that?
No, that was I don't.
Speaking of
They probably
Monar,
remember more than I do.
Monar comes down here to see his kids
Does he?
here, and yeah,
We're gonna have to get him on here because that kid
Yeah.
really kept me busy.
I got
Damn,
you.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I got you on Facebook.
yeah.
You
But
know,
he well, he
north
had,
side. He's
I
on the
believe
north
his
side.
twins live down here,
got
and he
twins?
comes down from Chicago, and so, and
He's
then
got twins. I
you
didn't
know,
know that.
Paul Marshall, he's living here in St. Louis.
I've talked to
Sergeant-
him. He when he was in New Orleans a while back, just visiting.
Yeah.
I was gonna meet up
And,
with him, but it wasn't working.
Hey, and then you know, Sergeant Malenik, he lives here in Alton, but I don't talk to him. He don't get on Facebook, and I don't think anybody really talks to him. But he's down here.
Wait,
And
which one was
Sergeant
Malenik?
Spronis, Matt.
I owe
Malenik,
that dude my
yeah.
career. I owe that dude my
Our-
career. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Our
senior.
superintendent there at the end.
Yeah, the senior.
He was
the
when I was
senior,
in
yeah.
equipment support. Had the big long list for me.
Right. Yeah. That dude was awesome.
Dude, he told me one time I was just out in his smoke pit, and he was the new senior, and everybody hated him, and I was out there just running my mouth like an asshole. He was like, "Fuck that dude! I ain't gonna do what blah 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 blah." And then nobody's laughing. All of a sudden, everybody was laughing. Then nobody's laughing, and of course I don't shut the hell up. So all of a sudden I look behind me, and I'm like, "Oh crap!" Here's it.
little dude.
What you doing, Skippy? Me and you need to talk. Let's go for a walk. And
Yeah,
he
let's
said-
go for a walk. That's
yeah,
right.
he said something
That's right.
along the lines of, "You're either going to change your attitude or I'm going to have fun changing it for you." And I said, "Let's have fun." And that son of a bitch did have fun.
He had fun.
He had a lot of fun. I painted that whole freaking thing for free. The whole
For free. He said for free.
man post. He wouldn't even let me wear paint
Like
clothes.
he had a choice.
He's like, "Don't get
Yeah.
paint on your uniform. Don't get paint on your uniform. You'll have to get another one. You only get a clothing allowance once a year."
That dude, he was something else, man. I love that guy.
I think he got
So,
me some
his-
overalls from maintenance.
His name was Matthew A. Malenik. His brother was Mark A.
What's his
Malenik. And then his other brother was something else, M.A. Malenik. They was all M.A.M.
Oh,
ma'am.
amen.
And I
Yeah.
said, yes, ma'am. And boy, he got mad at me for that. I guess when he was in school, right? Like they probably getting fights about it over in school, you know how kids are, and me. And boy, he didn't like that at all. And I didn't ever brought it up again, you know.
He used
So
to
I
throw
said,
some
"Yes,
epic
ma'am."
parties. He used to make.
Oh, I
everybody,
know it.
like,
Was you there that time the
everybody
police got called?
drink his homemade crap.
I
And then
still got my
he got-
bottle. I still got my bottle of burgundy or bourbon, or not bourbon, but I've still got
brandy.
that bottle. I've never opened it
The brandy?
from him. Brandy. I still got my bottle from him. I've never opened it.
Damn.
Yeah. It's
I wonder
vintage.
I wonder if it's good.
How are you going to become an alcoholic if you don't drink it?
I can't drink anymore.
Really?
I just had
Well,
one, but I can't drink anymore.
Yeah, he can't drink anymore
I was
tonight.
I was
Tonight.
I was like, let's talk about
No.
you being a recovering alcoholic.
No, just
I
tonight.
got an idea.
This is a
That's what that like me.
horrible light from a strip club or something.
So, Davis, I got a question. What happened to you after the Air Force? Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Well, I tell you what, man, when I got out, I hit a low. You know, you get out and then one day you lose every friend you had, you know. And that was tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys experienced that or not.
Yeah.
And then really, I want to be honest, that took a long time to get over. You know, you leave and you just don't see anybody no more. And then it really, it hurt. And then of course you get out, you lose all your rank, you know, and you go start somewhere else fresh. And, you know, and I had some issues with my back and it was kind of hard for me to get a job because of that. I just couldn't do the work I could do when I was 20.
Mhm.
anymore. And and I had a lot of issues with that, and still do. Uh, but so, but I got out and I went back to Cape Girardeau, and I worked construction for a little bit, and then I went to work for forklift warehouse for Nestle Purina for a little bit, and then that was it basically for my working career. I got a compensation for disability from the military, and and we make it work, and we started a family. Let's see, in 2011, my son Alex was born. In 2013, my son Ben was born. And then basically I've been a stay-at-home dad with them that whole time. And then I'm so blessed that, I'm so blessed that I got to do that with my kids. When I was growing up, my father was in the army. Yeah, my father was in the army, and I didn't hardly ever get to see him at all. So, to be able to spend all that time with my sons was, really it's a dream come true. And they're good kids. They didn't really have the challenges I had growing up, and but that's okay. I'm not complaining about my challenges. It builds character. Everything in life builds character, good and the bad. It seems like the people with the toughest lives have the most character, though. And but
well, and let's be honest about something. You got a pretty good wife.
Yeah,
all of us know her.
Yeah.
Stanford.
That's a good lady. That's a good lady.
You probably recognize her, Stanford. If Kelly, if you're in there listening, come in here and say hi.
Yeah, come say hi. We need something pretty to look at. Not him.
Kelly Pat.
No.
We would go to all the parties together there. Hogset's party at his. Well, no, that wasn't. That was Glenn's party at his trailer where we had.
That would be Glenn. No. I wish I could get a hold of that.
Yeah, Hogset was dancing and doing like some kind of 80s. What was that stuff when you spin around in the 80s? Break dancing. He was break dancing. I got some pictures of that too.
I had to see some of these pictures. I look like a baby in CJ's pictures.
Yeah, I wish I'd have brought them. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll be on again.
Not Kelly Pack.
Yeah,
there she is. There's our friend. There's Kelly.
She's the one that finally put up with him.
You guys have been together for over 20 years now, yeah?
No, it'll be 20. Well,
July.
20 married in July.
Yeah.
But since 2003 together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
But I met Kelly at the VFW post on Wednesday night karaoke.
I thought it was the other one. What was that other bar? With that
B Street.
And yeah, that's where I met.
Well, we would go there too, but Kelly was a regular at the VFW post there, right outside of the Belleville gate, and that's where I met her. But we would always go to places as a date. Before we was dating, we would just go, like Air Force balls or whatever. I don't know what they were.
You guys were tight when you met Kelly. Yeah. You guys, you were just Velcroed together. Every time I saw Johnny, I saw you with him.
Yeah.
You know who else was like that and still is I don't know. I don't on Hoko, but I think his name is Villamore now. He's still with
Villamere.
As far as I know.
Villamere.
Liz. I was with him the night he met Liz.
He's still with his wife that from way back then.
Really?
He lives in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Because I think it was me, Johnny, and Kelly and him, and we had just met her, and we went to Six Flags or something like that. We just met. Were you there? Maybe it was somebody else. I don't know.
Was who there? There's a lot of us here.
Johnny, I'm pointing, but nobody can see.
Oh, he's pointing.
I thought it was you.
I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't. But they're
Maybe
still
that was
together,
lead
too.
singer from
That's
Korn.
crazy. Probably what I was doing.
Or I'm going. Bye, guys.
Bye, Kelly. Good to see you.
Love you.
Here, in order to understand Hogset a little better.
Oh no, hog set? No, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of conspiracies, I want to tell you all this. I thought about it a long
All
time.
right, everybody, please get ready.
OJ's innocent.
Oh,
Say
we
what?
know.
He was
Say-
set up
say-
by the CIA. That's right. So that's the conspiracy, Mike. That's a conspiracy.
That's
No, just
That was it.
I thought about it a long time.
that was it.
I own your soul.
That was it.
That's a
Oh.
conspiracy.
Now wait a minute. Wait, I want to hear this one. I need to hear this from Hog.
I wish we.
Somebody please tell me about the poker game.
No, it was a Monopoly game.
Who the hell loses what?
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know, but we were TDY.
Tell the
we were
game.
TDY with some nerds from the age department.
No,
And
we were
they-
hauling. Wasn't we
and
hauling
we were-
that B-1 bomber to off
Not
to
that
the?
one. No, that wasn't that time. We were on
Okay.
presidential support. And
Oh, that's
the dudes
right.
from age that when I got out of the truck, they said, "Y'all want to share a sixer?" And I was like, "What the hell am I going to do with a sixer?" And then, anyways, we were in the. It was church, me, you, and some dudes. And then that is when we decided to play Monopoly for our souls, and it's still up for debate who
Well,
won. If I wake up,
there were
listening
10 years-
to, Backstreet Boys.
10-year commitment, right? 10 years you own somebody's soul if they lost. And Hogset's going to be listening to the Backstreet Boys. I told him for 10 straight years.
Wait. Explain that
Nonstop.
part. Explain that part. What are we talking about? Who's
You're going to be
to what?
listening to Britney Spears.
That's fine. It's
We
not
won't know
Backstreet
till
Boys.
we won't know till we die.
Well, who's listening? Wait, explain the listening part.
Johnny,
Well,
you go.
And if you own somebody's soul for 10 years, you get to do with them what you want. And I told Hog he's going to listen because Backstreet Boys was pretty popular back in 2003. Or it was no, it was in 2000 because Al Gore was running for president, wasn't he? Or 2002.
Yeah.
It was Gore v. Bush. It was Gore and Bush.
It was Bush, and we had to bring age equipment up to the Tri-City in Moline, Illinois, because the federal government would not pay their bill to the airport up there. Like they would not pay for their equipment to be used.
Typical.
So the airport said, "Well, we're not going to give you our equipment anymore." So we had to drive the staircase truck up there on a low boy every time you went up there, and it was a battlegrounds area. So they were up there. It seemed like every few months. How many times did we do them presidential sports?
Oh my God!
I mean,
and that stair truck was like
All the
4
time.
inches over height, so you'd have to take the air out of the freaking tires and then
strap it down. Yeah.
I think that's what we were strapping down when you shot that cheater bar all the way across the freaking. You could have killed yourself with that.
Right. You ain't supposed to use a cheetah bar.
I know, but we were.
Hey,
I never saw a cheater bar. That's all I'm saying.
I remember me, Darnell,
Oh damn!
and I can't remember
I know
who else.
there's
We
a
brought
name.
a crash. We crashed. We brought a crashed B-1 bomber to Bedford, Indiana. It was in a truck.
Me,
Yeah.
you, Darnell. Who else? There was one more. There was 4 trucks.
Stanford, what the
Yeah.
hell were we doing during all this?
I was in Korea.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I guess we were gone.
Wait a minute. Scott wasn't your first base?
Yeah, Scott was my first base, but I left in Korea and right after 9/11, after me, McMillan and shit. We went to
That's
Kuwait.
a cuss word right there.
and then And then when I got back, I had orders to Korea. I
Mhm.
had got the welcome to Korea email before I even got the orders.
Oh wow.
Osan or Kunsan? The Kun?
I went to Coon, then I extended in Coon for another year.
Oh, you're crazy. Pete, didn't you come from the Kun?
I spent 2 years in Kunsan, 2 different times.
Oh, damn.
I was
But
there
anyway,
in
let me tell you the
I
story
came
about the
from,
B-1 bomber. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, B-1 bomber. No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm going to finish my story here. I'm jumping back and forth. I'm sorry. We got back, and you know what? You remember Deathridge, right?
Oh my God, there's
He
some
always worked
names,
this bad.
dude.
Yeah, Deathridge. Hey, we got back, and he said, "How did you get past the radiation detectors?" I said, "What?" He said, "How'd you get past the radiation detectors?" He said, "I brought that down there to Bedford, Indiana 3 years ago, and they sent me back. They wouldn't take it because it was leaking too much radiation." And he's like,
Holy
"You know that big
shit.
old thing you drive under?" I said, "We drove around it." He said, no kidding.
We did.
Right? We drove around it. We dropped off radiation at this place.
So
And he got back, and he's like,
it was a radiation detector that you drove around.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we didn't
That's
know.
awesome.
they didn't even give us any suits or anything to wear. He's dropping this thing. It was leaking radiation going down I-64.
And
Sounds
they
like the
grabbed that,
DOD.
they grabbed that trailer with that claw and just dropped it in I think it's the world's largest paper shredder.
The whole
It was
thing. Listen, they
yeah,
had
the whole
dirt
trailer.
there where yeah. If you remember, that B-1 bomber was flying in Tennessee and it got stuck where it wouldn't go up over the hills, and they knew they were going to crash, so they bailed out, and it did crash. And they scooped up all that dirt and put it in that trailer because it was radiation. And you know, hey, you guys remember Lieutenant Mate, right?
What up, mate? Yes, I do.
Which one was Mate?
He was the
Yeah,
I know these names, but I can't picture them.
Well, he left vehicle ops, and he went to be
he's
a navigator on the B-1 bombers, and he was over in, I think, Syria. Wasn't he in Syria, Hog?
I mean, I talk every once in a while. I comment on Facebook to each other, but I don't know. I know he's married, and I'm pretty sure his wife is a pilot.
Look, go to his Facebook and go look back and look in like 2013 at his post, and he's got all kinds of stuff on there about his B-1 time. You can go back on somebody's timeline. Go back there and look at all he's done. I mean, I followed it, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty wild. Yeah. But
I have to check it out.
Yep.
When was this B-1 thing? When did that happen? The B-1.
God, that was
which one? The one that crashed?
Yeah. Isn't that what we were just talking about?
That we hauled. That
was about 95 or 96 is when it crashed, probably.
Yeah, but it had sat in GRMO forever.
Yeah, it was out there behind, out there on the other side of the flight line. Like going to, it was back there in them track trailers where they parked all the drug cars. Like
it was
the
over there.
DEA would park all the drug cars they confiscated back there. You remember that? They had all that, like the DEA would park all the equipment that they confiscated from drug busts back there on Scott. So
and then the government sold that property to Walmart, and that's why we were taking them. That's why we were taking them trailers up, and they had like all those tires had been sitting there for like since '95 into 2000. So like maintenance had to go out there and make sure the brakes kind of worked. All that stuff that wouldn't even happen now, because I was out there with a record pulling them up so that they could check all the stuff. But we weren't allowed to look inside of them, and they were heavy too.
Have you ever had any problems with tumors and stuff?
Not me. My wife did.
Okay, well, I have, and so has Church. And I think Church went on that trip with us with the B-1.
Church is pretty sick right now.
Good right now. And
he's pretty sick.
Hey, I've had like body cysts like in my neck and my back, and I don't know if it's from that radiation or not, but you know, if you do come down with something, I mean, you know, you need to.
I remember you texting me about that, but I didn't.
I mean, you're hauling around a radioactive bomber. You're probably going to have some issues.
Yeah, that's the second plane crash that I worked. That 747 in Guam that went down we worked that too. So, you know,
Mhm.
I'm sure it's full of radiation. But that Korean Airlines Flight 801,
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but
I remember you telling me about it.
yeah. But
What,
anyway,
what happened with the Korean Airlines? What happened?
well, it was coming in for a landing there in Guam, and then when they were coming in, they hit the top of it. I don't want to call it a mountain, but it's you know, really high hill, and they hit the very top of it, and they barrel rode over it, and like 220 people died. You know, it was
Good Lord.
yeah, oh yeah, it was a mess. But that was in 98, I think. That's or 97 maybe. I think it was in 97 maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah. Uh,
All I
but you
know is
know,
that when you brought him up again, I got to tell people like Sergeant Church was trying. He was trying so hard to beat us at Monopoly because he's, you know, a Christian
he
Pentecostal, and he was trying so hard to beat us so that he could take our souls and give them back to us.
So, all right, so
well,
everybody needs to understand something. William Church was probably the kindest person that we've all been associated with. A very
oh
religious
yeah,
man, and so it does make sense that if Hogg and Davis are betting their souls, that Church would be right there trying to save them. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
oh yeah. Sergeant Church, he was a great person. He's a great person, and then I tell you, he's going through some hard times right now, and
Mhm.
I really
Yeah,
hate
and
to hear that.
if any of y'all want to donate to his GoFundMe, it's on Facebook.
Reach out
Pete
to
shared
us
it.
and
Yeah, Pete shared it on our website.
reach out to us, and we will we'll get you hooked up with it.
Yeah, he's living in Germany or something. Uh, I know his wife was from Eastern Europe somewhere, uh, but they're living over there. And I think the last I heard, he was in Germany. And
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, but
The last time I seen him was in I think it was in Ali Osalim, and he was there, and but he was the one we were tagging him out.
that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Ali Salim. Yeah.
Who?
Yeah,
Oh, Slim.
Ali
The
Yep.
Osalim,
Salim.
tip of the spear.
Yeah.
So
Chicken
yeah.
coop at steak. I remember they made the chicken coop as
Hey, Stanford,
was
you
me.
went to Korea, right? And
Yeah.
I volunteered for Korea 3 times. You know how many times I went?
How many?
None. I volunteered for 3 times.
insane.
My dad was in the Army, and he was over there 2 times in the 70s. And, you know, he didn't have a choice. They just, you know, you're going. And I told him I volunteered 3 times. And I just want to go. I just want to go. Kind of because he went, you know, and then he just couldn't believe that, you know, being 3. He didn't volunteer once and had to go twice. And here I
Well, the
volunteered
climate
my
was
first
way
time.
different
I
back
get
then
Guam.
too.
And you get Guam. You get Guam. That's a hell of a remote assignment. Man, I tell you what, all I had to do was think about Korea, and I got it. That's all I had to do was think about it. Yep.
I
don't
got
get it.
orders, but I had to have a heart procedure done, so they canceled them.
Hawk said,
And
did
then-
you retire from the military?
Mhm. Yep.
You did.
Yep.
And you had that heart procedure, and they still let you stay.
Yeah, I
in,
had to
huh?
fight. Yeah, they put me on the, what do you call that? They put me on a med board. They were trying to kick me out or medically retire me, and I fought
Right.
the med board, and they reinstated, you know, full active duty, and then after that, I served the rest. So probably about another 5-6 years, something like that. Chris was
Okay.
baby, so 18, like 17, 18 years ago. But that was interesting. But yes, that was the time I got orders to Korea, and I did not go. So
missed
me and
out.
you have both
Korea's a
been 0.
blast. Korea's a blast, man. You missed out on that.
All right,
I know,
you're
I've
joking,
heard.
right?
No,
Huh?
no, I
Korea? No, it's fun.
because of
Yeah,
because of the
go
because
ahead.
of you
I'm
guys
sorry.
because of you guys who because of being at Scott, you guys taught me so much. When I went to Korea, I knew more than the staff sergeants who was running equipment support. So they kicked this one staff sergeant out and put me in as a senior because he didn't know shit.
Right.
And then I
Hey,
became
Me and Killers.
dispatcher or
Scott was
something.
probably a good first base for somebody because when you when you go overseas, it's kind of like I'm not saying the rules go out the window, but like the red tape kind of gets cut overseas. I mean, overseas duty is a lot better than stateside duty,
Oh yeah.
especially a command base like Scott. Man, I'll tell you what, I thought the Baker was going to be the death of us all. I mean, my God. You know what I'm talking about, Colonel Baker, the
I
wing
remember that.
commander.
I
Yep.
know the name. Sorry. My brain
Yeah.
doesn't work these days.
He made one star, didn't he?
He did, and then
Yeah.
oh no, he did, and then he put us through hell to get it. But hey, when I got to Guam, the lieutenant colonel said, "I'm not getting my bird," and everybody in the room started cheering, and I didn't understand what that meant. Right? I didn't understand what that meant, and then I asked somebody. I said, "What did that mean?" And he's like, "Well, he's not going to put us through hell because he's not getting his bird. So basically, it's going to be a vacation," and it was. I tell you, the one thing I miss about Guam, yeah, Baker. He would have people standing.
Remember when he
I'm
called
sorry,
me in because his cigarette lighter was changed in his car?
No, yeah. Oh no,
Because
I remember. I still got a
yeah,
piece of paper that
I
shows
got
you that
called
the
in.
front seat goes to the D on the drive on the gear, and then where you
Yeah.
had to measure millimeters, the mirrors on his mirrors had to be put back, and then
It's
Somebody
fucking
changed
ridiculous.
McMillan
Dan
and Pappas
Molentano.
were all standing tall because somebody put the ice scraper in his glove box,
Yep.
and instead of I mean, like bullshit like that, man. And then meanwhile we're all deploying to the desert, and like we give a shit about an ice scraper. I mean,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like what a jerk. I'm just.
Well, I didn't even smoke. And that's why I said, why would I touch it? I didn't even smoke. It's well, the
I
one
think that
have
was
is-
Monar. I think that was
it was,
Monar.
no,
Good.
it was Molenturno. Molenturno changed
Yeah,
it. He had
Molenturno.
one in his pocket, and he left his own personal one in there, not the chrome one. And we're talking
He
about
also put a rap DVD in the DVD player, and it got stuck. And,
My
remember
God.
that? Yeah,
No,
he put the DVD in there and it got stuck. It wouldn't come out. So they were standing tall for that one too. But
and I know that son of a bitch smoked in his car. That's why he noticed the cigarette lighter. Wake me up in the middle of the day.
Oh,
to
that's
come
terrible.
stand at attention and explain why a cigarette lighter was changed. Are you
Yeah,
out of your
yeah.
mind?
Yeah.
You're an
Some of
idiot.
the shit we had to do was ridiculous. The things you'd get in
You
trouble
remember
for
Jen
was
Maurer?
ridiculous.
Do you remember his wife,
Nope.
Jen Maurer? She was in our shop too.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Youngblood.
Youngblood?
Yeah, Youngblood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was a Youngblood back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
thinking
then-
of a
then-
girl.
then, yeah.
Girl. But they went to Guam right after. See, I was with him. I was with Molenturno at Fort Leonard Wood, and then he went to Scott. I went to Guam. Then I left Guam, went to Scott, and then he left Scott and went to Guam.
Went to Guam.
But when I got to Scott, I was on night shift with him and Zop, and then Molenturno, he was.
Man, those are some
They
names,
were
dude.
looking at porn. They were looking at porn on the government computers, and I told them, I said, "Man, you all gonna get caught, right?" And then sure enough, a pop-up came up on one of them mornings after about a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
They did a
remember
history
this.
search and-
I remember
Oh
that.
yeah, Zop ended up getting kicked out over all this. I mean, that was just part of it, but like, and then I got a UIF because I didn't tell on them. I'm like, I'm just like, I'm going to tell on the staff sergeant my first duty, coming back to Scott. And I'm like, what the hell, Zop? They did. He got a chain wrapped around his head though. On when he was using one of them binders, it broke the chain, and that's why you don't use one of the cheater bars when you're tying down
You're
a
the
load.
one that was using it.
Oh, I knew what I was doing though. He
Yeah.
And it flew across the entire yard all the way over to where the buses were. And y'all
well, he
remember
broke the
how
chain.
far that was.
chain wrapped on his head, and
Steel pipe.
Really?
and it really
Wait,
messed-
I seem to remember that
what?
about somebody getting a chain to the head.
It wasn't at Scott. It was, but you could see his scars. But yeah,
Mhm.
it was him. He broke that cheater bar, broke that chain, and it wrapped around his head.
Right.
And so he
You
had like
guys looking
18
at
years.
porn.
when he got kicked out. So he didn't ever get a military
Zop.
retirement. Yeah.
My God.
Hey,
The
know all
names that
that.
come out in these podcasts, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to keep talking because I think some bad stuff happened at the end. Like I think, like,
well, I'm not going to say anything bad, even if I knew it.
he was. I remember him going to Burger King because he needed to lose some weight, and he'd order like 3 Whoppers and a Diet Coke.
You gotta stay healthy.
Yeah.
And then he went to work for some bus company afterwards, and I was like, "Yeah, them Diet Cokes ain't working for you, brother."
Yeah, wasn't it Vandalia Lines there in Belleville?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where he went, right? Yeah.
Yeah, where have all the buses gone? There's no more buses on the roads anymore. Have you noticed that?
Not here
Like
because
Greyhounds and stuff?
we got casinos,
They're-
man. They
they're-
bust them in.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like long haul buses. There used to be Greyhound stations all over America, but there's not anymore.
'Cause everybody got
They're just
common
not
sense.
around. I guess everybody's got a car now. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's changed since we were younger. But
Cheaper than a damn bus.
hey,
Hey,
who's this Kalia person that keeps commenting?
I don't know. I wish
I don't
knew who
know
that
her.
was.
all right, Kalia, you
I
need
mean,
you need to explain who you are. Let's
He
go.
or
That's why I
she
said it.
seems like they know a lot of people
Making
that I
fun of
know.
me. Yeah, I know. Making fun of me because I said the Keesler and he was trying to
Come
get
on,
back
Kalia. What's your pronouns?
Week.
Is that a last
I've been
name, I
racking
guess?
my brain. I'm like, who the hell?
Kalia knows a lot about church and us.
Yeah, she has to be somebody we know. York. Oh, Valentine. I know Valentine. Y'all don't. I do. She must have been deployed with church.
Greta, he knows Amanda.
Yeah, it was everybody that I was.
Oh, so hey,
The boss
guys,
knows. The boss knows.
Up until
Thanks, Greta.
3 weeks ago, Saponis, McMillan, and Krajewski
I seen that.
and me all met up here in up here by Scott, and we all hung out at the. We went to Lotta Wada and had dinner, and then we went to VFW Post down here in Collinsville.
Did he bring that damn
And
monkey?
I tell you, yeah. There's pictures on his Facebook if you go on there. You ought to get him on here. Chaponis is he's a good conversationalist, and I miss his morning briefing.
Right?
And we were talking about hogs that day, talking about somebody in a Honda pulling up with a nuke in the trunk. Or you remember that whole thing?
No, I remember when
And that was normally when the briefings ended. But I miss those briefings a lot. With
Chip's on the list. Chip is definitely on the list.
Okay.
You guys remember that? Do you
Yeah.
guys remember
Well-
when he had his appendix almost ruptured in the dispatch office?
Oh yeah, I do. Actually.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that, Chip.
Yep. And then I remember when I
Hey,
I
I'm
hung his
going down
buddy
to see
his
him. He
album.
lives.
Go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
go.
He lives down in. I was born at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and he lives 40 minutes from there at Wichita Falls. Isn't there an Air Force training base there? Well, anyway, he lives there, so we're going to go vacation out there. I haven't been back since '76, and and we're gonna hook up, and hang out again. So I haven't been back. I'm going back home, and I'm gonna buy me another bike. So
Yeah, we need to get Chip
Kelly's
on here.
probably
There's a
screaming.
lot of people we want to get on here. Struts, Molnar, Chip. I mean, Good. You guys name them.
Strut.
Church. We want to get Church on here. I
Hey,
don't know if we can.
look, if you go back, you want to see me, Joe and Oko at the time, and Struts. We all went to a Cardinals ball game that year. McGuire hit the 70 home run.
Yeah.
I was there.
Well, when that game he hit number 55. Me and Struts and Joe are right there back there where the bleachers are in the home run section. Andrew Jones of the Braves hits a home run ball, and I had it in my hand. I'm on ESPN, and the guy standing next to me put his thumb in my hand and knocked that
Popped it
ball
out.
out of my hand. But we were on ESPN, and if you go in there, and I found it on ESPN like years ago. I don't know if it's still on there, but you go on YouTube, you see all three of us there at that game.
Nothing disappears.
So-
from it.
Find it. Send us the link. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I need that picture. Yeah,
It's got to be on YouTube.
but
Damn.
hey, other than 3 weeks ago when I saw them and seeing you all tonight, I mean, I didn't see anybody except for I saw Rob McMillan one time 10 years
I ain't
ago,
seen him.
gas station in Collins.
That's another guy we want
Other
on
than that,
here.
I hadn't seen.
Yep.
Yeah,
How about Merida?
Rob looks the same.
Oh, I talked to him
And,
a while back.
Rob, he was in my glass melting business, kind of like my car painting business. But he was in my glass melting business. Ask him about it when you get him on here.
Oh,
We used, hey, do you remember Conant? Do you remember
Yep.
Jason Conant?
Yep.
is he the one that had?
He lives up here in O'Fallon.
Is he the one that had the sleep apnea?
Yeah,
Probably.
Is he?
I think so.
Look, he
Redhead?
lives over in O'Fallon.
Yeah.
No, no.
That wasn't Conan.
Conant would have outranked us all, right?
Conan.
You're
He was a
Connect?
staff sergeant when we
Connect.
were
Yeah,
airmen.
you're right. You're right. Yeah.
He would fall asleep all the time in his car.
He worked over at Mid-America Airport, Pete, when we first got to Scott. He was that group that was over at Mid-America Airport. He would drive
Yeah.
from O'Fallon, Missouri, like an hour and a half away every day.
If I see their faces,
when
I'll
he was
know 'em.
stationed at
I know their names, but I just can't
Well, we used
picture
to
'em.
go to deer camp. Me and Rob would go to deer camp with him down in Mark Twain National Forest by Fort Leonard
Mhm.
Wood, and that's where we got in our glass making business. You asked Rob about
Glass-making.
that.
Can't wait to find out what that is.
It sounds like an episode of Breaking Bad.
Right? Yeah.
Crack.
Glass making. Yeah.
Yes, smoking crack.
We're making shatter.
So Pete, you remember that though when we painted my car before I went out, right?
Dude, I barely remember. I mean, I just have little. I don't remember things until people bring them up, and I barely remember that. I just remember that piece of shit sitting out in the
Yeah.
dorm parking lot.
Yeah. That was a good car. It was a good car. It was a good car.
My goodness.
Well, anyway, yeah.
But no, like you, John, were saying,
So-
this is here recently, ever since Stanford Hogg and I started this podcast, I haven't had a lot of contact with the folks that served with it, Scott. You know, I had some contact with McDonald for a while, but he's disappeared again. Occasionally, you guys, once in a blue moon, you know, but this is the most
You know
I've
what?
talked to
I
you
gotta-
guys in years.
You know, I'm like saying
I spoke with you a few
Mhm.
times.
when Stanford called,
I was going to go down to see Pete, but he talked me out of it. It was only 121 degrees down there when I was going to come out 2 years ago, and we ended up sneaking into Mexico instead. I was going to tell you this: me, my sons, and my wife, before they're 18, we're going to do We're going to do all 50 states and Canada and Mexico, and we already snuck into Canada and Mexico, so we got them off the list. But let me tell you something. Don't bring your gun to Canada if you don't have a permit.
Okay, that's just, the more you know.
All right. So we made a wrong turn going across the bridge in Canada. Oops. And then while we're sitting in line to like get into Canada, I told Kelly, she wasn't happy to begin with. I mean, it's an accident. And I said, oh shit,
Kelly, how dare you be mad
my
about
gun's in the car. And then like, oh man, hey, I got my gun and my bullets back, and we were on our way in about 2 hours. So,
My goodness.
but we didn't have any identification for the boys.
Goodness.
So
Well, Johnny.
but we got it. Hey, all 50 states. We're doing
Well,
it.
you got 3 homes. 3 homes right here. You can just stop by and see us anytime you want to, brother. Johnny, it's been great to have you on
We
here,
live
man.
in Sedona, and I'm-
It's been so good to have you here, see your face and talk to you and go down memory lane.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Let's
Enjoy
do it
Britney
again. I'll
Spears.
come on again.
You absolutely need to stay in touch with us. So I want to just give a big thanks to our guest tonight, Jonathan Davis, for hanging out and sharing some stories. It's always good catching up with you, brother. To our listeners, if you liked what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with somebody who could use a little more altitude and attitude in their life. We'll be back next week with more truth, more laughs, and more of the good stuff. And remember, if you're not pissed off, you're not listening.
Peace.